A border is a real or artificial line that separates geographic areas. They are political boundaries. They separate countries, states, provinces, counties, cities, and towns. A border outlines the area that a particular governing body controls. Now, some are nice and simple. It is quite simply a matter of a fence with some border patrol staff who check your passport if you're traveling internationally, and then let you through if, of course, you have the legal requirement to do so. Some, however, are straight up bizarre, complicated, and unique. So let's start this video off with one of the most notorious borders in the world, the DMZ, or Demilitarized Zone, which separates North and South Korea. Now, although the war between North and South Korea lasted between 1950 and 1953, no official treaty was signed, meaning technically they are still at war. The North Korean side of the DMZ primarily serves to stop an invasion of North Korea from the south. It also serves a similar function as the Berlin Wall and the inner German border did against its own citizens in the former East Germany, in that it stops North Korean citizens from defecting to the south. It runs for around 240 kilometers across the peninsula, from the mouth of the Han River on the west coast to a little south of the North Korean town of Kaesong on the east coast. My most favourite part about this intense border is the Battle of the Flagpoles. In 1980, South Korea built a flagpole roughly 100 meters tall near the DMZ, so that North Koreans could see it clearly. So what did North Korea do? Well, they one-upped them by building a flagpole 160 meters tall, the fourth tallest in the world. The France-Netherlands border. France borders the Netherlands, but not in Europe. Saint Martin is an island in the northeast Caribbean Sea, approximately 300 kilometers east of Puerto Rico. The 87 square kilometers island is divided roughly 60-40 between the French Republic and the Kingdom of the Netherlands. However, the Dutch part is more populated than the French part. Sticking with the France theme, France's longest border is Brazil. Now, most people, including myself, might have thought that France's longest border is Spain, which is around 620 kilometers long. However, as French Guiana is officially part of France, it actually has a longer border with Brazil at around 730 kilometers. Speaking of France and long, the longest domestic flight in the world is between Paris and Réunion, which is a French-owned island just east of Madagascar. Okay, I promise, one final border relating to France. The closest foreign country to Brisbane, Australia is France. As the crow flies, the distance between Brisbane and New Caledonia, which is a French territory, is 1,500 kilometers, whereas New Zealand is more like 2,000 kilometers away. The longest land border in the world is between the United States and Canada. It comes in at an incredible 8,990 kilometers long, roughly the same length as the distance between London and Colombo, Sri Lanka as the crow flies. This is because the US-Canada border isn't just a straight line, as it intertwines between the two nations. And remember, it also has the border between West Canada and Alaska. The India-Pakistan border. One of the most bizarre yet interesting borders in the world. Two nuclear-armed countries who often fight over disputed territory. However, there is one border point which is rather amusing and entertaining. The Wagah Atari border ceremony is both a bridge and barrier between the two nation-states, India and Pakistan. Now, what's unique about this is that every day before sundown, Pakistani Rangers and India's border force perform a symbolic military shootout to a stadium full of spectators. The Slovakia, Austria and Hungary bench. There is quite literally a bench where all three of these countries meet. One seat is for Slovakia, one for Austria and one for Hungary. You could literally have three people sat at this bench, all in different countries. Argentina, Brazil and Paraguay, one of the coolest natural borders in the world. The Triple Frontier is a tri-border area along the junction of Argentina, Brazil and Paraguay, where the Iguazu and Parana rivers converge together. Belgium and the Netherlands border. The Belgium-Netherlands border separates Belgium and the Netherlands and is 450 kilometers long. Now, what's interesting about this border is that it is marked on the ground. It goes through a town, including a cafe, and literally someone's house. So potentially one side of their sofa could be in the Netherlands and the other Belgium. The Cooch Behar district, India, Bangladesh. The border between Bangladesh and India in the Cooch Behar district is enclaves galore, the most notable of which was an Inception-like series of enclaves, in which an Indian enclave in Bangladesh surrounds a Bangladeshi enclave, which in turn surrounds another Indian enclave. The United States and Mexico, one of the most infamous border crossings in the world. From this picture alone, can you tell which country is which? Well, you might be wrong, I certainly was. Mexico is actually on the right, is fully built up, and the US is on the left. The US keeps the area near the border barren, so that people who cross the border illegally are more easily seen. The Diomede Islands for Russia and America. These two islands in the Bering Straits are where the Russians practically rub noses with the Americans, and where yesterday is just a stone's throw away. West of these islands is GMT plus 12, and east is GMT minus 8 and 9. The border and the international date line, that zip that divides the world's time zones, runs between Big Diomede, which is Russia, and Little Diomede, Alaska, which are separated by just 3 miles of water. Big is uninhabited, Little has a mainly First Nations community. The Sweden-Denmark border. Now, this one isn't particularly interesting or strange, it's just pretty darn cool. The countries are connected via a 16-kilometer long road and rail link. The Øresund Bridge connects Copenhagen and Malmö. The bridge seemingly disappears into the water to give this cool and pretty scary looking underwater pass. Egypt and Sudan, the only unclaimed piece of land in the world. Egypt and Sudan clearly share a border. It's just no one knows where it really is. Both countries have different claims on the map, and they both claim rights to the sovereignty of the Halib Triangle. However, there's also Bur Tawil, which is a piece of land unclaimed by both countries. The catch is that none of them want to claim this bit of land, because if they do, they would have to give up on the much more desired Halib Triangle. The dispute goes back to 1899, before Sudan was even a country. It was actually a dispute between Egypt and the British Empire. Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Now, these two countries are clearly distinguished by the clearly visible different terrain. This is caused by the two countries' radically different approach to environment protection laws. The grass literally is greener on the other side if you're from Haiti. Macau, China. Macau is a special administrative region of China, who actually drive on the left side of the road, but China on the right side of the road. So what happens when you cross the border between the two? Well, they have built a special road and bridge system that cleverly solves this problem. Hadrian's Wall. On becoming Roman Emperor in 117 AD, Hadrian set about making the empire more secure, separating Roman and barbarian territories. The most spectacular example of this is the Great Wall he ordered his army to build to define the northwest frontier of the Roman Empire. Although, of course, Hadrian's Wall isn't used today to separate the English from the Scots, it is a pretty cool attraction. Some might call it the Great Wall of Britain. Now, this next one is quite hard to get your head round. Narwa is a territory that forms part of the Emirate of Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates. Okay, nice and easy so far. It is a counter-enclave within the Omani territory of Madha, which itself is an exclave of Oman and an enclave within the United Arab Emirates. Basically, each clan pledged loyalty to Oman, except Narwa. Narwa had closer ties with Sharjah, so it chose to stay associated to the leadership of the Emiratis. So there we have it, some of the coolest, strangest and most bizarre borders in the world. Did any of these surprise you? Or perhaps you might know some more? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video as always. Subscribe if you haven't already, it is completely free and you can always unsubscribe whenever you like. Thanks again for watching and we will see you very soon in the next video.